What's the deal, my people? You know what it is, Don Tony Teflon. I'm back at you with another From Season 2 video, trailer breakdown. I think I might have discovered two things in this trailer that might lead to the destruction and death of all of these monsters. And in this video, I'm going to share with you those exact two things. And if that sounds like something you're interested in, then please consider subscribing to the channel, liking the video. It really helps with the algorithm. Kick this out to more people. So without further ado, let's get right into it. In my last video, I talked about Tabitha and Victor, and there were some interesting things in that video that I seen after I made it. So that's what I'm going to talk about. Two items that I discovered in those videos that I think might end the day for these monsters when it's all said and done. The first item up is this block formation that we see at the entrance of this monster cave. Now, if you're wondering why I'm speculating that this is a monster cave, please go back to my last video. I explained that. But what I want to talk about is these two creatures that I see out there with Tabitha that I believe only she can see. I don't believe anyone else is looking at them or can see them. I think they're all in her head like the boy in white. I put that in my last video, so go check that out. Now we see this statue or whatever it is outside of what I'm going to refer to as the monster cave, and I didn't think much about it until MGM Plus put out a picture of Tabitha with Ethan playing with this thing up on their porch. And I think the fact that they put that out there in the promo footage means that this is something important. It does just look like a Jenga board, but could it mean something else? And I'll tell you that I couldn't come up with anything, but a subscriber of mine did come up with something. And when I looked at their comment, I researched it a little bit, and I'm saying maybe this could be true. So let me give a shout out to the subscriber of my channel that goes by Blessed Life. You put this in my head by leaving this comment, and that's what community's all about, so let's discuss it. They said that they thought that this stack of rocks was a cairn. Now, it could be. When I look up the definition of a cairn, it says rock cairns were used to mark routes to safety, to food, and to villages. The early North sailors used them to mark land long before lighthouses came into use. Other groups used them to mark grave sites, ceremonial purposes, or even hide caches of food. Now, although these don't look one-to-one like the cairns that we just talked about that used to mark, they could be using this in a similar fashion. Now, I don't think it's being used to mark food. I don't think that at all. But what is interesting is that it says it marks routes to safety and ways to villages. So if this is something that they use to mark ways to the village, the monsters use this, they come out on this, and they use that to find their way to the village so that they can go and eat everybody. That does seem like it's possible. But I also want to talk about another meaning for it. Now, if I'm correct, and this cave is where the monsters come out into the park, maybe they use this to find their way back home. And if that is the case, then this spells big trouble for everybody that is in the town. And I'm going to tell you exactly why right now. From the picture that was released by MGM, we see Tabitha and Ethan playing with this on a porch. So if she took this from that entrance way, which I think she must have had to do, there's no other way I could see her getting it back. And this is the cairn that we're talking about, that it helps finds people's way. And this is what they use to find their way back home into these caves. Wherever it is how they find their way home. So if it's on their porch or inside of their house, will the monsters be attracted to it some way and try to find their way back home and find their way to all these people? If this is inside of a house, will it negate the effects of the talisman? Now, when I look at it, it looks like a Jenga board to me. So I think it has something to do when it falls over. Maybe they can hear it when it falls over, or maybe it triggers them. If we've seen them before in the cave sleeping, does somehow, if it falls over, doesn't wake them up? I don't know. It could be some type of alarm system, but it's very interesting, especially the fact that Irish people used to use this. If this thing is used to find their way home, like they don't have the best eyesight or something like that, could this be used to set a trap for them? Could you put this at the entrance of something else? Say that cave that we seen Boyd where he found the talismans in. And that place right there didn't have a wall in front of it, but it had the talismans on the side of the walls draped with some type of vegetation, and that did not allow the monsters to come in. Could you catch them in something like that, make them go into it and have a box and finally capture one of these monsters? I think in the end, if you want to defeat these creatures, you're going to have to capture one of them and then experiment on it to see exactly what it is and how it can be killed. Can it be burnt? Could it be stabbed? Can you beat it to death with rocks? The only way to find this out, can you hack off its limbs? The only way to find out is to capture it. So if this is one of those things that leads them home, could this be the case? Now let's talk about the second item, and that is this music box, the ballerina in the music box. We've seen this in a couple of clips from this trailer, this ballerina in the music box. We see it when it looks like it's on some type of stone. That's the best shot we get of it. And then we see Boyd looking at it through some type of peephole. We also see it behind a curtain, and Boyd rips the shadow of it, and Boyd rips the curtain off, and we see the box is there. Now, the ballerina itself spinning around may have no meaning, but the song that is playing in this music box might have some. Now, the most common song that we get in these ballerina music boxes, number one is the Moonlight Sonata by Beethoven. Now, we know the monsters always come out when the sun goes down and they're active in the moonlight, and sometimes people say that dancing is a form of fighting. Like George R. R. Martin will always say that there's a war, the war is like a dance. So it could be them just dancing out in the moonlight, chasing down people. Also, this song was meant to be a song for Beethoven's girlfriend, whose father would not accept him because he did not have any titles. Now, the next number two song that are played on music boxes is the Waltz of Flowers. Now, I know a lot of you people believe in the Irish Fae theory, so I'm going to give you some more fuel to your fire pointing in this direction. Now, when the artist made this song, he was experiencing some emotional turmoil after the death of his sister. While he was at sea, this is when he penned much of the music for the Nutcracker. He famously used his fear of mice to create a dynamic music for the army of mice in battle. He used the love he had for his sister to create the iconic melodies like Waltz of the Flowers. Waltz of the Flowers is the final dance of the ballet, where all the sugar plum fairies sweet celebrate Clara and the prince. However, the piece does not immediately start with a celebration feel and is built up through the duration of the work to make the climax even more effective for the listener. So here we have a reference to Sugar Plum Fairies. We see that these two people that Tabitha run into look like brother and sister and are holding hands. So could that all mean something? Again, when we talked about the first thing in this video, the blocks, that was also an Irish reference. So maybe this face stuff has some legs. Who knows? But I'm just putting all the facts out there for you. So it's very important for us to find out exactly what song is playing when we hear this music box. So keep a close eye for that. But what about this music box? Again, I talked about this a little bit earlier. Is it some type of timer? Could it be when the music starts to play, this is when they go out and start to eat, and when the music box starts, that's when they come back? Could it be a wake-up call that they're sleeping, and when the music box stops, this is when they get up or they have that time? It could be something like that, but I'm not sure. We're not going to be sure entirely until we see season 2. But those are the 2 things I wanted to point out to you that could end the defeat of these monsters. Because if this music box does somehow summon them, could you speed the music box up and get them to come out during the daytime, and will it kill them? Maybe they think it's night and then they come out because the music box stops playing, and then all of a sudden it's daytime and they all go out and die. Again, these are theories that I'm throwing out there, but I want to hear from you in the comment section. It's extremely important to the YouTube algorithm that you comment and like the video. So please, let's try to get this video to 500 likes so we can get these views up. I thank you so much for believing in me and coming back and watching these videos. And if you like the way I do this, please thumbs up this, spread this across the realm, and of course, subscribe. And until next time, you know who it is. Peace and stay sexy.